I was just finishing something up. Give me like 1 minute and then I'll be right with you. You want to check it out? What is up, guys? It is your podcast host, Nate Larrier of The Talking Block. There was a little sound going on, little sound situation, but I figured it out for the most part. So just bear with me. I will do my best. But I thank you for taking time listening to the podcast with your podcast host, Nate Larrier. Me. You know, sometimes there's times where you have to fix things. There's times where you don't have to fix things. There's times to try new things, and there's times to not try new things. And that's one of these days. It is currently 8:26 a.m. and on a Thursday where I'm supposed to be posting it again, and it's not that I don't have good time management. It's just I'm a perfectionist when it comes to this, and I need everything to be perfect. As of lately, it just hasn't fallen under that line. So in order for me to at least get it done, I have to have that motivation, and then yet at the same time, I have to be willing. And that's just where we are at this time. As you see, I got my mic because my wireless mics don't want to work. And even then, I don't know how well this is going to work, especially because there's certain times where I might get up and I don't know if it's going to pick up. So we'll see. But you know how we like to get started with our poem of the day. And today's poem of the day is titled The River by Manuel Jose Othon. With graceful waves, ye waters frolic free. Uplift your liquid songs, ye eddies bright. And you, loquacious bubblings, day and night, hold converse with the wind and leaves in glee. O year the deep cut, yet jets gushly sportively, and rend yourselves to the foamy taters white, and dash on boulders and curved rocks upright. O glandas, pearls, and diamonds rich to see, I am your sire, the river, lo my hair. His moonbeams pale of your purslin sky, mine eyes are mirrors as I sweep along. Of molten spray in my forehead fair, transparent mosses for my beard have I. The laughter of Naiades is my song. A little bit about Manuel Jose Othon. He is a Mexican poet who is also a politician. His poetry is considered as a tribute to his country, Mexico. These works are considered as a tribute to Mexico because it describes the majestic landscapes that form Mexico. My bad, apologies. As its mountains, canyons, rivers, sunsets, etc. In the most famous novel titled Savage Idyll, presents the links between passion with religious fears and force of nature. Nothing else wrote poetry, but also included brief and extended narratives that failed the same fame that his poetry. The poet died in the city of birth on November 28, 1906, in 1964. His remains were moved to the Rotunda of Illustrious Persons, where they made him honors in a single grave. Part of his work was published after his death, and his work, most characteristic forest anthem, gained even more fame and importance. So we like to break down the poem because poem of the day is meant to get the brain juices flowing. Honestly, it's working for me right now because I was actually pretty tired, but that's besides the point. But it's meant to make you think because you never know what we're going to talk about in the podcast. So with this, I think with knowing that, Manuel likes to talk about Mexico's terrain. And if you've ever been to Mexico, which I have, I've been to Cozumel, but it's a very beautiful place. But at the same time, you have to also think about, you have to incorporate what you know about Mexico into this poem. Because Cozumel might be a lot different from where he is. So can I really tell you what it looks like? No, but that's what the point of the poem is, where he talks about with the graceful waves, ye waters frolic free. Frolic meaning to move and dance, whatever that animal or person, just to move freely, to move energetically, to move as they wish. And that's where he's talking about the waves. You think about the waves in a river, they go up and down, upstream, downstream. But no matter what, it just seems like the waves move in a way that just, it flows. It's free. It's without any trouble. Uplift your liquid songs, yet it is bright. I believe that he's talking about the sound of the waves. And whenever you're by a river, it's very calming. And I think that's what he means when he says uplift your liquid songs. anytime you watch a movie, when they sit by the river, even in The Quiet Place, the river was where they could talk. And that's what automatically I think of. The river, the sounds, they're uplifting, they're quiet, they're calm, they're a reason to want to stay. Hold converse with the wind and leaves and flee over the deep yet cut deep. Oh, year the deep cut yet jets gush sportively. I apologize again. I can't read right now. Crazy. But hold converse with the wind and leaves. I automatically think conversation. Converse. The waves are talking to the wind and the leaves, and as they talk, oh, year deep cut. Not always is a river so calm. So at times it has those rushing sounds. It has that, big hits, yet jets. It moves fastly and gusts sportively. I automatically think very active, I honestly think of a storm. A storm is when you would most likely see the river become active. And rend yourselves the foamy taters white and dash on boulders, curves, and rocks. And rend yourselves to the foamy taters white. I honestly could not tell you what that means. I looked it up, but it just, that's something that we would have to go back and look up again at some point. But and dash on the boulders and curves and rocks, I automatically think there's rocks and stones and all that at the bottom of the river. As the river goes upstream, downstream, that's what it's hitting upon. Dash on your boulders and curves and rocks. Just hitting those rocks, hitting those boulders. Well, when does pearls and diamonds rich to see? Because at this time, Mexico was very rich in gold and dirt and all that. I believe that it was possible that you saw a lot of pearls, a lot of diamonds in this river. Again, I've never been to where he is, so I couldn't tell you. But just by him describing the different things, I would say that there was a lot of pearl. He says it to see, rich to see. So I believe that there was a lot of pearls, a lot of diamonds, a lot of shiny things that were in the river when you went to go to this river. I am your sire, the river, lo, my hair, as moonbeams pale of yon surtling sky. I am your sire. I automatically think of someone who is served. A sire, whenever you watch, English movies or you watch something with the king and a queen, you have this person on the side and they'll say, hey, go give me this. And he's like, yes, sire. I automatically think the river he is submitting to the river in ways where he can just be, honestly. I don't think it's that he's being controlled by the river, but not always is you being a sire, someone being controlling. Sometimes it's, I'm going to be a sire to him so I can be free of whatever is going on, such and such. So I think he's just being a sire to the river as to be free. As moonbeams pale in the surtling sky, I have to look up surtling again because I don't remember what it means. Surtling is a blue. It's a color. So now I think we get into it, because the next line is, my eyes are mirrors as they sweep along. I think moonbeams. It's night, the reflection of the moon. At the same time, because the reflection of the moon, now the river looks like the sky. It's nice and blue. It's beautiful. Mine eyes are mirrors as I sweep along. It picks up. It reflects off of his eyes as he's walking down this river. Of molten spray in my forehead fair, transparent mosses from my beard have I. The laughter of naives is my song. These last three lines, again, couldn't tell you. This is one of those poems that you really would have to sit down for days and just dissect every last word, every last sentence. And because I'm running on a timeline, at the same time, it's a podcast, so I can't do all of that right now, but best believe I will come back and I will do that. But of the molten spray in my forehead fair, transparent mosses from my beard have I. Couldn't tell you what that means. But the laughter of Naides is my song. Naides, in this case, they are known in Greek mythology, they're known as a nymph, and it's just a young lady that rests upon wherever that they may rest. So in this case, Naides is a lady that rests in the rivers. And I just think of her laughter is my song. So her laughter it's peaceful, it's quiet, it's whatever the case may be, it's joyful, it's enjoyable, no matter what is my song. He loves that it needs laughter. So that is The River by Manuel Jose. There's a lot to unpack in that. There really is. And I will say that I'm going to unpack it. I'm going to hand it to you with it all unpacked, but you got to give me some time. But moving on, let's talk about ESPN on the Talking Block. Yes. I want to show you guys something because I can actually show you all now. You see this? I don't know if you can see that, but that, and it's not just this page. It's so many more. You know, you got this one, you got this one. Oh, what kind of crinkled that one? You got this one and that one too. You got all these pages, and it stops right here because that's next week. Well, actually considering this week because the first game starts today. But it's all the games that happened during week 1, and we're going to talk about them all. Okay. All right. But I have to go to the original one first because I got one more on this one. Starting off with last Thursday, you had the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Chiefs won 27-20, and it was a game. It was a game. The biggest thing that stood out to me was illegal formation, which was where one player was in the wrong spot essentially. But here's why it rung out to me is because it was only being called on the Ravens, and then you never heard it for the rest of the week. So it kind of goes back to when everybody's talking about, is this NFL scripted? It might be, because how could you call illegal formation only on the Ravens, not on the Chiefs, and then not call it for the rest of the games during week 1? Kind of crazy. But Derrick Henry, he debuted on the Ravens with a beautiful touchdown. So did Xavier Worthy, made his first touchdown for the Chiefs and first regular season touchdown. Both of them made the first touchdown not only for the regular season but for their teams. Lamar Jackson was looking absolutely beautiful. You know, we love to see him. Chris Jones, he was a force to reckon with. And it goes into why I thought the Ravens were going to win, but ended up the Chiefs winning, because 3 changes were done on the offensive line. So the offensive line is fairly new. And if you remember listening to my last podcast episode, I said that the Chiefs were going to be the ones that had to figure some things out, and that's why the Ravens were going to win. But turns out the Ravens had things to figure out, so that's why the Chiefs won. But Chris Jones, he was a force to reckon with. Offensive line had no response for him, and it was just, you couldn't stop that man. Isaiah Likely, he was beautiful to watch. It came down to the last call, and I'm gonna try and post clips the best that I can. If it doesn't, I apologize now. But Isaiah Likely, Lamar Jackson, they're in the red zone. Lamar Jackson throws the ball. Isaiah Likely catches it, lands on both feet. It's ruled a touchdown. I gotta take a minute because I'm about to cry. But play is under review. They go back, they come back, they say, after review, the ruling on the field, out of bounds. The Ravens could have took it into overtime. They could have, but Isaiah Likely stepped out of bounds. Do I believe he stepped out of bounds? Absolutely not, but that's just in my heart. But when you look at it, you can see that foot is a little over the line and he's out of bounds. So yeah, that was that game. The first game of the season. And then you go all the way down to the South America where the Eagles and the Packers were playing. That was Friday. Eagles and the Packers. Eagles won 34-29. Oh, you know what we should do? Hold on. Let me get my marker. We're going to use this board, because why not utilize everything that we got in our studio? So what I'm going to do is, for everyone that I get right, the point for me. Okay. So the Ravens and the Chiefs, I didn't get that point, but the Eagles and the Packers, I got that point. Okay. little dash mark. Eagles won 34-29. Jalen Hurts was looking beautiful. He looks real healthy. He looks real strong. He looks like he's ready to go back to the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns on his Eagles debut. Was beautiful to watch. He's going to be a very big part. Let me tell you something right now, because you're going to hear it a lot in this podcast episode. The run game was absolutely astronomical to watch, and it's going to be a reason why some of these teams are set apart from so many more. But Saquon Barkley was dominating the whole game. The passing game was looking good. AJ Brown, he's AJ Brown. Got about every completion, made a couple touchdowns. Eagles defense, they came through. But they're looking good no matter what. It's just they have a lot of fine tuning to make sure that they don't let things like this happen again, because the Packers were up a little bit before the Eagles came back and won. Jordan Love was beautiful. The running game on the Packers was beautiful. The red zone, I think that's what tore the Packers up. They couldn't get a lot of red zone completion, and the Eagles were just stopping them right there, and that's where Packers kind of failed. But yeah, that was that game. Panthers versus the Saints. These are all the Sunday games. Panthers versus Saints. That's a point for me. I mean, I don't know why we question that. The Saints won 47-10 because the Panthers kind of suck. The Panthers just had no blocking, especially for Bryce Young. I mean, you have Bryce Young in the pocket, and it just seemed like the O-line just let everything fly by. But Blake, the penalty kicker for the Saints, he came in clutch, making a 57-yard field goal, which I do believe was the longest field goal for week 1. Alvin Kamara, running back, again, run game was strong, and that's the reason why they were able to set apart so far from the Panthers, because one, Panthers had no pass game, they had no run game, but because the Saints had such a strong run game, they could run for like a good first down and an extra 10 yards. Alontae Taylor, on cornerback on the defense, he was making sack after sack, play after play. He just was making sure nothing flew by, again, why the Panthers lost, because they couldn't get past these people. Alvin Kamara on offense, they weren't stopping him. Alontae Taylor on defense, they just couldn't stop him either. I want to say this, at about 3 seconds before halftime, the score was 30-3. The Panthers had just scored right before halftime, and it was a field goal. So the Saints took the win on that. Beautiful game. Vikings versus the Giants. Another point for me. Vikings won 28-6. Sam Darnold, absolutely loved to watch him during this game. He was making play after play. He looks like a good playmaker. Once they get where they need to go, again, the run game, I've been saying this since preseasons, Vikings run game is very strong, and they showed that during this game. But once Sam Darnold gets a lot better at feeling the team, because you can kind of see that he wasn't feeling the team, at least in the first quarter, but once he starts to feel the team a lot more, he's going to be beautiful. Vikings defense was beautiful. They were just, at the same time, Giants suck too, and their uniforms that week. But let's get a picture up there. Like I don't know what to tell you. It got to the point where third and 26, that was the longest yardage loss that the Giants had that game. Anyways, moving on. Patriots and the Bengals. So on my paper, and I'll put a picture. On my paper, it says that the Patriots, I have them winning, but in my heart, I felt like the Bengals, so I'm not going to give myself a point for that. But the Patriots won 16-10. Brissett, he was on the field. He was looking good. Quick plays by the Patriots, that's what set them apart. The Cincinnati Bengals just had no response for their quick plays. At the same time, Patriots defense was on everything, was making sure nothing was getting by. It got to the point where I don't remember who, but Joe Burrow threw the ball. They caught the ball. It was going to be ruled a touchdown until they lost the ball and they turned it over. It was just, ugh. And then Ramondre Stevenson, run game. He was very, very strong in that game. And that was the reason why, again, the run game was the reason why they were able to set apart from the other team. So Patriots took out that win, and that was Gerard Mayo's first regular season debut. He is the new head coach for the Patriots, and he took that win. Steelers versus the Falcons. Again, can't get this point because let let me say this. The reason why I said that the Steelers were not going to win is because they had, and you can go look it up on ESPN, they posted that Russell Wilson was supposed to start, and that's what I thought. So I was like, okay, if Russell Wilson starts, Steelers ain't winning nothing. They put Justin Fields on the field. Now yes, they gonna win because Justin Fields knows how to play. He's young, he's vibrant. So Justin Fields was on the field, and Steelers won. Yay, 18-10. TJ Watt, linebacker on that team, again forced to be reckoned with. Falcons had no response for that. And then Najee Harris, running back, again, what set them apart. The run game was strong. They were getting yardage after yardage after yardage with Najee Harris, and that's why they won with 18-10. But let me say this, Kirk Cousins, he looks good for the Falcons. Honestly, as much as people want to talk about why Kirk Cousins failed and it was a horrible debut for him, you also have to look at it. It's a new team. He's got to get used to the people. So for him to go out there and do what he did, only 8 points behind, that's fine. Kirk Cousins was looking good. Ray McLeod, wide receiver, he was also looking good. If those two can figure something out, I think that they'll make a good name for themselves, as in making some good numbers this season. Texans versus the Colts. I will say this, these next 5 games has a yellow highlighter like that because it took them forever. I knew they were going to win, but it took them forever to win. Texans versus the Colts, point for me. Texans versus the Colts. Texans won 29-27. CJ threw a kneeling pass completion. Absolutely beautiful to watch. If I can get it up here, best believe I will as I'm talking about it. Hopefully you're watching it. Stephon Diggs, wide receiver for that team. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And now here's the thing. Let's hope he doesn't get his baby phase, because there's a lot of other good players up there like Nico Collins and Tank Dell that are going to get the ball probably a little bit more than he is. But he's still a good addition to that team. Speaking of Nico Collins, wide receiver for that team, he goes to MVP. Nico Collins was just absolutely beautiful to watch. He's the reason why I believe that they won that game, is because as long as you got the ball to Nico Collins was going to make a play out of it. Joe Mixon, the running back for that team. I mean, what more do I have to say? If it's a running back, run game is strong. Joe Mixon was trucking through everybody he saw, just bulldozing the whole game. So it was beautiful to watch. Anthony Richardson to Alec Pierce, a 69-yard pass touchdown, was absolutely beautiful. Again, if I post the video, best believe I will, and you'll see it right now as I'm talking about it. But that was absolutely beautiful to watch. What set them apart was when they got their punt blocked and they lost the ball. Okay, but the Colts' pressure for defense on the first half of the game was beautiful. Texans couldn't get nothing done, honestly, and if they did, it was just by the grace of God. And yeah, Jonathan Taylor, running back for that team, he was absolutely something to watch too. And I believe that, honestly, because both teams are new, at least in players and the franchise being better now, I think that the Colts, they're going to be pretty close to contention with the playoffs. Do I think they're going to make it? Probably not, but good contention spots. Okay, all right. Cardinals versus the Bills. Again, another game where it took them forever to win, but they did win, so that's a point for me. Cardinals versus the Bills. Bills won 34-28. At first, the Cardinals were throwing short and simple passes, making sure that the ball didn't get intercepted and just making sure that they were able to get close to the first marker or to the first marker. Jones Conner, running back for that team, absolutely bulldozing to everybody that game, and it was a force to be reckoned with. DJ Dallas, let's do something, okay? We're gonna do something. I want to talk about the dynamic kickoff, because DJ Dallas scored a 96-yard touchdown, and that's the first touchdown to be returned during this new dynamic kickoff. So if you don't know, and this is where it's going to get a little tricky, because I don't know if the sound is going to pick up or not, so I'm going to have to speak loudly. Okay, so if you don't know, all right, people, It's probably going to be a little airy. I apologize. But if you don't know, this was the original kickoff. And don't worry about my face. You don't need to see my face, okay? All right. But you do need to see the back of my shirt, jacket. Yeah, check it out. Yeah. But so this was the original. You had a couple players lined up. Right here was possibly the ball, and then you got that, you got that, you got that, and then the kicker's back here, and then this was the return setup. A couple players, right here, right here, right here. Basically looking like a pyramid. Okay, can you guys see that? I hope you guys come closer. You see that? All right, cool. And then the ball would be kicked to them, and then they'd return it downfield. All right, and then let's erase this. I kind of don't know where my eraser is right now. I will find it after this recording because I kind of will need it. We're going to be utilizing this a lot. Okay, all right. So this is where DJ Dallas scored a touchdown with this play right here. So you got the team right here, all right, and then you got the returner team right here. You got the kicker back here. And then you got what is called the landing zone. And then you got two returners. Basically right here, that's where these two returners have to return the ball. Okay? All right. And then you got the end zone. Okay? All right. So basically, the kicker kicks it this way, comes the returners. One returner goes up the block, the other returner goes here, does a little something, or possibly goes this way, does a little something, and the goal was to, return it as far as they can. DJ Dallas ended up scoring a touchdown in that, and the first touchdown to be scored during a dynamic kickoff.
And like I said, if I can post a picture, I will. But that was that. Josh Allen was looking beautiful. I'm always going to be a Josh Allen fan. Keaton Coleman was out there. He was looking good. Number 0. James Cook running back. He is also what set the Bills apart from the Cardinals. Next game, Titans versus the Bears. That's another point for me because the Bears won 24-17. All right. Not much from the Titans. I mean, they're pretty mediocre team as for what was going on in that game, but it was a little funny. Again, if YouTube doesn't want to block my video, but what's his name? The QB for the Bears. I've been saying it this whole time, and I don't know why I can't think of it right now. But the QB for the Bears, he threw a ball, they caught it, it was lobbed, and then they caught it again, fumbled it, and then another player came by and made it a first down. So that was a little funny. What turned the game around for their win was when Jonathan Owens made a touchdown, Simone Biles' husband, and then they made a fumble, and then they made a pick six. Okay, so that was what set them apart, and that's why they were able to win. Defense for the Bears, they cooked up in the second half. They knew they had to because they were losing pretty badly. But that's that game. Jags versus Dolphins. If you remember, again, if you go back to the last video, you would know that I said I don't know who was going to win for that game, but I did say if anybody, it would be the Dolphins. So that's a point for me. Dolphins won 20-17. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Alec Ingold, all a big part of why they won. Of course, if you do know that Tyreek Hill was arrested 2 hours prior to this game, but still came out and did his thing. Etienne Jr. for the Jaguars. He's going to be a reason. I think he's going to be a reason why the Jaguars go a little far. They're not going to extremely far. Let me get that out the way. They're not going, but they're going to get far because of Etienne Jr. He was he's a running back. He's pretty strong to watch. And yeah, that's all I got for that game. Got the Broncos versus the Seahawks. It's a point for me. I said the Seahawks were going to win, but I also did say that the Broncos were pretty good and they weren't going to let anything slide. 20-26. The Seahawks won with 26. Broncos won with 20. Bo Nix was beautiful to watch. Bo Nix was making play after play. It just came down to the defense, which was for the Seahawks, and they got it together. Geno Smith was good. Keontae Walker, running back for that team, love to watch him. Another reason why they were set apart from the other team, and why most of the teams are gonna win, because of this run game. Tyler Lockett, he was making catches. He was beautiful to watch. I will say that watching most of these games, I think what caused so much of these good teams to lose was because they couldn't catch the ball. During the game, they were getting the ball returned to them. He caught the ball, he dropped it, and let the other team go get it. Like, why would you do that? Let alone, he wasn't on the 20-yard line. He wasn't on the 30-yard line. He was on the 5-yard line. So yeah. Okay. All right. Raiders versus the Chargers. I honestly didn't even see this game up here, so I don't have anything for it. But Devontae Adams, he showed up on the Raiders. Absolutely beautiful to watch, J.K. Dobbins for the Chargers, running back, was a strong force to be reckoned with during this game. Big man 95, Poona Ford, defensive tackle, he got his interception. Okay, all right, and that's kind of all I got from that game. Please understand that I'm not an ESPN representative, so I'm not gonna give you all the nitty and gritties about every game. I'm just going by what I see. So if you want to go watch the highlights and go see, this, you do that. But I'm not giving you the nitty and gritty. I'm just giving you exactly what I see and everything that I'm thinking about future on, like as for who's making it to the playoffs, who's looking good, who's not. Okay. But Jim Harbaugh, he got his win coming back to the NFL, and it was a nice game. Cowboys versus the Browns. That's a point for me. How you like them boys? I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I knew they were going to win. The Browns suck. 33-17. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver for that team, 88. He was on it. Anytime he got the ball, he was catching and making some yards. Micah Parsons, linebacker, he was number 11. He was something to be reckoned with. I think he got at least 2 sacks during that game. Ezekiel Elliott, running back for that game, for that team, that's what set them apart. He was just making run after run. And then Trayvon Diggs, cornerback for that team, made his little interception, especially after his ACL injury last season. He was back on the field looking beautiful, number 7, brother to Stephon Diggs. So, yeah. And I haven't got nothing for the Browns, as you can see, because the Browns suck. Commanders versus the Buccaneers. This is not a point for me, because I thought the Commanders were going to win, but Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield came out and he showed out. Mike Evans was something to watch that game. Like just check it out. And if you can't, go to YouTube and check it out. But Mike Evans, he pulled out one of these plays where he just right over the shoulder on the backside, came up, caught it. Beautiful to watch. Chris Goodwin, wide receiver for that team, was another reason why the Buccaneers won. Jaden Daniels, don't get me wrong. Although Jaden Daniels lost, Commanders are still good, okay? I don't care what anybody has to say. Watching them during preseason, they're still good. And Jaden Daniels is a good addition to that team. What set them apart was they couldn't make any field goals that game. So that's was one reason why I think they lost. But Jaden Daniels, he's a good addition to that team, and they're gonna go far. Rams versus the Lions. My team, they lost. 20-26. It got to the point where dang, if I could speak, David Montgomery made an overtime touchdown for the win, and that's why they won. Interception during the fourth quarter. They got the Rams got the ball, and that's where I thought they were going to win, because the score was 20-17 at that time. And nope, they just couldn't keep the ball. But Cooper Kupp was out there. Cooper Kupp was doing his thing. Love to watch them. Hopefully they get it together. Sean McVay, do your thing, make them work, and we can go get some wins and take it to playoffs and then take it to the Super Bowl. Okay, all right. And then last but not least, I mean, everybody could have known this was coming, but it's a point for me. 49ers once again won against the Jets. 10 points in total. Brock Purdy, he was getting outside the pocket. He was looking good. I'm proud of Brock Purdy, because like I said, like I've been saying, if Brock Purdy can get out the pocket, he can run through the pocket. If he can run no matter what, he's set, and he was doing that. Jordan Mason, man, running back for that team. He was honestly the best running back to watch during week 1. Hands down. Just absolutely dominating. Deebo Samuel was on the field.
He was absolutely dominating. And just to say this, Jordan Mason was the replacement for Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey was not on the field during this game. But they didn't need Christian McCaffrey. They still won like they did. Opening drive, the Jets fumbled, and that's kind of where the 49ers just took it and ran with it. But Lazard, he was looking good. And then, Aaron Rodgers is now the quarterback for that team. So Aaron Rodgers debuted during that game. And, man's old. He's about 40, so he gonna have to cook something up late in the season. Do I think the Jets are going to make it to the playoffs? If they get Aaron Rodgers out of there and they replace a couple things, I think they can. But right now, not looking like it. But they look like a solid, good team. Defense was okay. Offense was pretty good. It's just when you put them against the 49ers, no chance. But that's all the games for week 1. Moving on to week 2, which starts today. The Bills versus the Dolphins. Hey, I'm gonna stay true to Josh Allen. I'm gonna give it to the Bills. 49ers versus the Vikings. I'm gonna give it to the 49ers. Seahawks versus the Patriots. I'm giving it to the Seahawks. Giants versus the Commanders. Giants suck. Commanders are gonna take that win. Chargers versus the Panthers. Panthers suck. I'm gonna give it to the Chargers. Saints versus the Cowboys. Although the Saints were looking good, they were going against the Panthers this week. That's why they won, and it looked good. So I'm gonna give it to the Cowboys. Colts versus the Packers. I'm gonna give it to the Packers, but I think that's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be something that goes back and forth, and defense and offense, they're gonna be fighting head to head. Browns versus the Jaguars. Browns suck. I'm gonna give it to the Jaguars. Buccaneers versus the Lions. Although the Bucks were looking good, again they were going through it. They were going against a team that's a little lower than they are. So I'm gonna give it to the Lions. Ravens versus the Raiders. Ravens all the way. Rams versus the Cardinals. No bias. I don't think that the Cardinals have it in them. I mean, they were looking good against the Bills, but they were just falling apart every quarter. So I honestly think I'm gonna give it to the Rams, and that's literally no bias. If you look at it statistically, and if you look at both teams in a comparison, it just goes to the Rams. Now, why the Rams would lose is if they just absolutely lose their marbles and don't do anything. Bengals versus the Chiefs. I'm gonna give it to the Chiefs. I really would wish that Joe Burrow would be good for this game coming up, but I just don't think that I think he's still getting used and warmed up to it. So I'm gonna give it to the Chiefs. Steelers versus the Broncos. Honestly, I'm gonna give it to the Broncos. I think that the Broncos have a better play map of what they can do. I mean, we saw them against the Seahawks. They were looking pretty good. I'm gonna give it to the Broncos. Bears versus the Texans. This is a game that is going to be defined by the defense. Defense is where their defense is going to have to step up during this game. So whoever has the better defense, but honestly looking at it, I think the Texans are going to win. Falcons versus the Eagles, and Eagles all the way. And that is week 2, which starts today at, I believe, 8:20 p.m. with the Bills versus the Dolphins. Okay? All right. And that is ESPN on a Talking Block. Next, we like to talk about the news, what's going on in the world, what's going on in America, what's going on wherever you're living. We're sticking to the space theme. SpaceX launches private mission that expected to feature the first all-civilian space walk. Early September 10th at 5:24, 4 rich people were sent up to space to go explore. Those 4 people, the four-person crew is made up of billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, founder of CEO of payment processing company Shift4, retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Scott. I feel like I'm reading that wrong. Hold on, let's read that again. The 4-person crew is made up of a billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, founder and CEO of the payment processing company Shift4, retired Air Force Lieutenant. Yeah, I think and it says period, but there's no comma. And then it says Colonel Scott Kidd Poteet, and then SpaceX engineers Sarah Gillis and Anna Menon. Isaacman, who funded and took part of the first all-civilian SpaceX mission in orbit 2021, is bankrolling the Polaris Dawn mission in partnership with SpaceX. The point of this little exploration is just to test out some of the suits that they are going to use for not only the moon. Right here it says that this will allow the scientists to study the effects of the space radiation on the astronauts and the vehicle. The findings could help SpaceX plan missions to the moon and Mars, which would require astronauts to fly through the inner and outer Allen radiation belts. They going up to see what it's going to look like for civilians to be able to go up there. Will I be going up there? Absolutely not. I feel like that's overwhelming. Just to see how big the sun is, to see how big the planets are. I'd rather keep my feet on the ground, and if they do go in the air, it's most likely because I would like to go skydiving, or I'm going to China and to go see sightseeing in an airplane. But outer space, absolutely not. But we do hope that they do return home safely, and they bring back some gold pictures. Let's see what it looks like up there from the ground, though. From the ground, not up there. And yeah, that's all I got for that. As for what's going on in the Black community, a legend died as of September 9th. James Earl Jones, iconic actor memorable for his voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa, died at the age of 93. I will say that my favorite line from him is literally Mufasa, and if you know, you know. He goes, "Do not turn your back on me, Scar," and then Scar's like, "No, Mufasa, do not turn your back on me." But yeah, we just asked that his family they're able to rest knowing that he lived a very long and well life on stage, on Broadway, in the studios of recording for Darth Vader, for Mufasa. At the same time, he was in Coming to America. He was in Welcome Home, Rocco Johnson. He was in a lot of movies, but those are the ones that I know that I've seen that he was in. So we thank him for his heart for film. He was wonderful to watch on screen, really was. And I think that I don't think that anybody has had such a deep voice as he has. I think that's going to be his most memorable thing. I really do. It's just his deep voice, and it was, as a kid, it was just wonderful to hear. It was a very, I honestly thought it was a serenade, and now it's gone. But he rests in heaven with all the other greats like Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant, and all those wonderful people. So we just thank him, and hopefully we can find somebody else new that will not take his spot, but be able to do some of the things that he does. And that's all I got for you guys. I thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast episode of The Talking Block. I feel a lot better about this one. I really do. If you had seen the other recordings, you would just be like, don't post those at all. Don't post those at all. But again, we're figuring things out. We're learning. I gotta figure out the microphone situation. At the same time, if I do use this mic, figuring out how I do know what I want to use to get this mic, so I'm not hunching over, because as you can see, I'm hunching over. At the same time, if I have what I want, I can just pull it down, bring it closer, or when I go to talk on the board, I can pull it this way, and I'll still be able to talk. So we're figuring things out. But I thank you for sticking with me, watching this YouTube video. Be sure to go to Spotify, listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, wherever you get your audio podcasts from. Check my Instagram out at the.talking.block. Go to TikTok, toast.2.becoming. Check me out there. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about the setup. Let me know what you guys think about the podcast. What do you guys want to see new? Did you like how I incorporated the board? I'll be doing a lot more often. And yeah, if I can change my mind, that mind would change another. Those minds would change so many more. Would become a chain of changed minds. Toast to becoming, TTB. This is your podcast host, Nate, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.